Hi everyone. Today I am talking from my co-working space, which I've moved to use in the coming months because I've just got a lot of work on, and I really enjoy being around other people when I'm extremely busy. And this is the funky Whatso, which is just divine. All the artwork and the facilities are really amazing. But today I want to talk to you about Contra. And Contra is really common with startups, and why not? Why wouldn't it be? Because so much business is done in conversation where, you know, we are all sharing services and we're all working really hard to support each other. So quite often we have conversations that end up being, I will do something for you if you will do something for me. And that could be exchanging any number of types of services. So another word for contra is service swapping. So sometimes people will say in a Facebook group, I'm interested in doing a service swap. Now, a service swap is another word for contra. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Contra, only because it's never managed well. It's rarely managed properly. It puts people in a position of, I guess, having to perform and deliver certain services that then cannot, it gets lost in translation, and it's not managed properly, and it's not quantifiable and not measurable. And many times, more times than not, parties end up feeling a little bit like hard done by or used, or they feel that, well, they worked a lot harder and gave a lot more and they didn't get enough back in return. So I'm not saying that contra is a bad thing. In startup, it's needed sometimes. You know, money is tight. So if you can get services done for your business in return for services that you can provide, it's a wonderful thing. But there are a few things that can be done to manage contra properly so that you end up building relationships, really healthy, long-lasting relationships with people that you engage in contra with, rather than it disintegrating into an unhappy mess, which happens when certain parts of the contra agreement are unclear. Firstly, you need to have an agreement in place. It doesn't matter that you're not changing, money is not changing hands, but services are changing hands, and those services have a value. So if you are service swapping, so someone is doing something for you and you in turn are providing them with a service, the first thing to do is to make sure that you get you have a dollar value on your service and that person has a dollar value on their service. If it's all equal and all other things considered, you are happy with, then yes, that's fine, and that's a fair exchange. The second thing though is, if the dollar value between the two services, the one you're providing and the one the other person is providing you, is not equal, then some kind of agreement has to be made about the outstanding amount that is kind of like owed to the other person, because their service may be valued higher than yours, or vice versa. So how do you do this? What you need to do is to have a discussion. You need to talk about how are you going to manage that? What are you going to do with that sum that is not equal between the two of you? So you may decide to waive it, or both of you may decide, okay, that's fine, we'll waive that amount, I'll still do my bit, you do your bit. Or you could put a dollar value on it and the other party can pay that balance amount. Whatever you decide on, that should be in writing. It should be in your contra agreement between the two of you. It's very easy to come to a contra agreement. Is essentially you need to write down what it is that each party is doing for each other, what the value of each service is. If there is a sort of a disparity in the value of the services, how you're going to manage that disparity. Are you going to waive it, or is there going to be a dollar amount attached to it, or are additional services going to be provided for it? And another important thing to understand is, you still need to cover things like time frames. How long is it going to take for each of you to deliver the services that you have decided to swap with each other, or contra with each other? So delivery is important. The deliverables are important too. So you need to list in the contra agreement, okay, we are service swapping. These are the services that are going to be provided by X, and these are the services that are going to be provided by Y. The discrepancy or the difference in value will be dealt with in either waived, or a dollar value will be provided. Each party's obligations are clearly outlined in the document. That you talk about what you will do, what the other person will do, how long they take, what happens if there are delays to delivering what you have promised. So these are the things that quite often, in the excitement of a contra agreement manifesting or appearing before you, someone can actually solve a problem for you, and you don't have to hand over cash. You can actually pay for it with your services or part of your services. You can lose sight of the detail that will make or break that agreement, that will make or break, which will be the difference between a good outcome and a poor outcome for you, and ultimately whether or not that contra relationship will develop into a long-term and a supportive relationship in business that you would generally want to have developed with people that you are working with. So my point about this website, this Facebook Live, is to be to be mindful when you are, I guess, considering service swapping with people. You may not need the service that they're providing or offering to swap, so they may not be the right person to do a service swap with. The service swap has to be of value to both parties, unless you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart and generosity. But not many of us are in a position to do that, or you are desperately needing to get something done in your business. Find someone that needs your service. It always makes for a better and a more even playing field. Start keeping, I guess, a document or a folder where you both record things that you agree on in terms of that service swapping arrangement that you are both proposing. That document where you both agree, okay, it'll be this service worth this much for that service worth that much over this period of time, and I will deliver this and you will deliver that, and by such and such date that contra agreement will be complete, or we will review it at such a time. So it's really quite important that you keep a track of the conversations, because that will form the basis of a contra agreement. Contra agreements don't have to be long and complex. It's a recording of the conversation and the agreement that you make with someone to swap a service. I'm happy to talk to you about this if you want to, if you're considering service swapping or entering into a contra arrangement with anyone. It is a negotiation. It does require some smart conversations. It does require you to ask some fairly directed questions, and for you to have certain types of information ready about yourself, your business, and what you're prepared to deliver, and how much value you put on your service. So in the comments, I will include a link to a checklist which talks about collaborations. Contra agreements quite often fall under collaborations, and that will help you to look at what you need to consider when you are working with somebody else and thinking of collaborating via service swapping or you know, any other type of collaboration. That's it for today. I'll speak to you next week. Not sure what about, but I'll think of something. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye for now.